Hello everyone, welcome back. This is a live recording of a 50-minute full body flow. I do use 2 blocks to hold on to today. Highly recommend having something you can hold on to if possible, but find some space to move for sure. And let's get started. Okay, so if you do have some things to hold on to, maybe just have them at the top of the mat, maybe have one on either side as well. But we're just gonna start in a comfortable seat. And you could place your hands on your knees or in your lap. And you can let your eyes close. And maybe we'll take a slow, deep breath in and sit a little taller. And let that breath go. And do that again. Take a nice, slow breath in and out. And one more time, just fill up with as much air as you can. And let it go. Awesome, you guys. We're just going to take our right hand, maybe to our low back with the palm facing away. Maybe you'll slide your hand over towards your left hip. And then maybe you'll link your fingers together. Hold your hand in place. But still sitting tall, and then you can take a tip of your head over towards your left shoulder. See if you can lead with your ear. Feel the length through your neck. You soften through your forehead, your cheek. And just leave your arms where they are and use an inhale to lift your head up slowly. If you do have your hands linked together, interlaced together, you might just move them over towards your other hip, so towards the right hip. Or maybe it's just one hand on your low back with your palm facing away. But sit tall again, and then maybe you'll be tipping your head over towards your right shoulder, leading with your ear. Let your shoulders soften. Feel the length through your neck. Begin to the shoulder and down your arm. And then just leave your arms where they are again. And maybe you'll start to lift your head back up. And we're just going to switch sides one more time. So you might just move the hands over towards the left hip again. Lengthen through the spine. And then you can take a tip of the head as well if it feels good. And then maybe now, if we start by leading with the ear, we can tip the chin down towards the shoulder too. And it might feel different. If you did tip your chin down, just slowly bring it back up. Lift your entire head back up too. And then move your hands back over towards the right side. Last one here. Sit tall. Start by leading with your ear as you tip your head over towards your right shoulder. And then maybe letting the chin tip down too. And you can lift your chin back up if you did tip it down. And then lift your whole head. And then we can release our arms and we can bring our hands back to the knees or the lap. And you might want to add a shoulder roll or a few. Just notice how you're feeling so far. Your eyes are still closed. You can open them and we're going to make our way into tabletop. So onto our hands and knees. Spread your fingers wide. Maybe give your hips a little bit of a sway side to side. And then take an inhale and drop your belly. Lift your chest and maybe your chin. Exhale as you round, push into your hand. Inhale, drop back down, arch your back. Exhale as you round, lift the belly button up. Inhale again, drop your belly, lift your chest. And exhale one last time to round the spine. Use an inhale to bring you back to a nice neutral place. You can tuck your toes and lift your knees into downward facing dog. You might start to pedal your feet. Push into your hands a little bit more though. Take a slow, deep breath in and out. Maybe pedaling the feet. As you press the ground away into your hands, how are your shoulders? How are your arms today? Can you let your head get a little heavier, the chest get a little heavier as you send your hips high, high, high? Stay for another full breath here. Inhale and exhale. And then letting an inhale, bring your gaze forwards. And exhale, walk all the way up to the top of your mat. Taking an inhale to lift halfway up. Exhale as you fold forwards. Use an inhale to come all the way up to standing. Reach up and exhale. Lower your arms down. You can roll the shoulders back. Spread your fingers wide and inhale as you reach up. Exhale as you fold. Inhale, lift your chest, lengthen your spine, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up, reach up. Exhale, lower your arms down. Take a shoulder roll. Spread your fingers wide and inhale, reach up. As you exhale, fold forwards. Take an inhale for a half lift. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, come all the way up to standing, reaching up. And exhale, lower your arms to your side. So just stay standing, but maybe add a shoulder roll in. We're just going to widen our feet a little bit. I'm going to go mat width apart. You don't have to go quite that wide, but point your toes forwards as best you can. Take just an inhale to lengthen the spine. Hands might find the hips. And then as you exhale, we're going to fold. So you can bend your knees. You can start to fold more and more and more. And just let your upper body be heavy. Maybe add a little bit of a sway, maybe side to side or forwards and back. Maybe you don't want to add a sway. That's fine too. You could hold your elbows if your hands are pretty close to the ground. Feel the length through the legs. And then if you do happen to be moving, swaying a little bit, feel your feet. Shift the weight into the toe, the heel. Balls of the feet, maybe lift your toes. Just feel your feet against the ground. Now you are swaying a little bit. You can slow that down. Your hands might end up finding your hips again, but start to bend your knees and then take an inhale to come all the way back up to standing, just nice and slow. If you did bring the feet out fairly wide and you want to bring them back together, you can. Roll the shoulders back though and take an inhale to reach up. As you exhale, fold forwards. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up, reach up. Exhale, arms to your side. Stay standing again. Now we're going to step the feet a little bit wider again, but maybe not quite as wide. So I'm going to go just a little bit wider than my hips. Hands can find your hips too, but stand tall. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, start to tip forwards. Maybe a nice bend to the knees. Fold all the way down. Let the arms start to dangle or catch your elbows. And then maybe the sway feels good. Now it can be a pretty big sway. Doesn't have to be. And again, you don't have to do it either. But just kind of shifting the weight possibly throughout the feet, the toes, the heel, the edges, wherever you can kind of shift the weight to and keep the balance and Let your shoulders try to find your ears and feel a stretch through your legs. Just breathe. Slow down your sway if you are moving though. Maybe the hands find the hips again. Bend your knees more. And then take an inhale to slowly stand up. And if you want to move the feet wider, closer together, up to you. Just roll the shoulders back and down. And then inhale to reach up. Exhale, fold forwards. Let an inhale lift you halfway. Exhale to fold. Inhale all the way up. Reach up. Exhale, lower your arms. Okay, last one here. You can bring the feet as close together as you want to. I'm going to bring my feet all the way together. Hands to the hips. Inhale. As you exhale, slowly folding, maybe bending the knees to slowly go. Your feet are together. Give the legs a little squeeze together too. And then start to let your arms dangle or find your elbows again. And then maybe you're doing that little sway or shift of the weight around the feet, around the toes. Breathe. Awesome work, you guys. Slow down any movement in your forward fold. Maybe the hands end up finding the hips. Bend your knees and take an inhale to rise, to stand all the way up. Adjust your feet if you'd like. Roll your shoulders back. Take an inhale to reach up and exhale to fold forwards. As you inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, folding to plant your hands and take both feet back and into downward facing dog. Push into your hands. Maybe you're pedaling your feet. Maybe you're going to hold things steady. Trying to drop the heels, maybe try to float your toes. Make your arms as long as they can be. Stay for a nice big inhale. And then as you exhale, let your knees come down and into tabletop. Maybe give your hips a little bit of a sway side to side. We're just going to reach our arms forward. So you can be flat on your hands or you can be lifted up onto your fingers. But take the bend out of the elbows as best you can. Reach forwards and start to lower your chest. You might look forwards if your neck is okay with that. Keep your elbows lifted. If you are lifted on the fingertips, and let your chest lower, lower, and maybe lower a smidge more. And then using an inhale to lift. Careful if you're on your fingertips. Move your hands back in under your shoulders, palms flat on the ground. Maybe a sway of the hips side to side, but then we're going to tuck our toes, lift the knees for downward facing dog. A deep breath in, a deep breath out. Let your chest and head get a little heavier. You feel the length through your arms. Take an inhale to look forwards and exhale as you walk up to the top of your mat. With an inhale, lift halfway up. And exhale, fold forwards. Inhale all the way up to standing. Reach up. Exhale, lower your arms to your sides. Stay standing again. You can take your feet as wide as you want them. I'm going to keep mine together. Squeeze the legs together. You might start to kind of move, just kind of shifting the weight around the feet. You might float your toes. You might try to float the heels. And you might just kind of move a little bit. Or you could do the toe lift and then the heel lift. Balancing a little, swaying a little, just waking up the ankles. And then If you're moving around, slow it down. If you're floating, something. Bring everything down flat on our feet. Roll your shoulders back again. Take an inhale to reach up and exhale to fold forwards. As you inhale, lift halfway up and exhale, folding down. Now we're gonna take our right foot back and set up a lunge. So you can bring your knee down. And you could also grab your blocks if you've got some things to hold on to, one on either side. Again, just for support. You can have your hands on the ground. But we're just in a nice lunge here. Our left foot is in the middle of the mat. You can be on the back knee the entire time. You could lift it up. Any pressure you want to take out of that knee, lift it up. Maybe roll your mat over. And you can kind of lift the leg up and down a couple times too. We're going to move a little bit, but we're going to stay in the lunge. So maybe the knee is going to come down. Right now we have a hand on either side of the front foot. We're going to leave our foot where it is. And we might move the left hand to the inside of the foot. So it's kind of like lizard, but not, because we're not moving the left leg. We're going to keep it nice and snug. I should never wear the same color on the top and the bottom when we're doing these things. You're going to keep that left knee and the left shoulder snug together. So our legs didn't move, just the upper body, a little shift of the chest to the right side. So just another moment here. You could tuck the back toes and you could lift the knee if you wanted, but just keep a gentle squeeze of that left knee against your left arm. And then maybe you're going to bring your right knee down again. Relax a touch. We can move our left hand back to the outside. Just notice the difference. Notice the difference. Sinking into the hip. And maybe you're going to lift your back knee up again. And then you could bring your knee down. And then again, just an option. Kind of nicer if you have something to hold on to. But you could move those things a little further away, but keeping them wider. So one on either side of your foot. Our legs aren't moving, but maybe we're reaching a little bit more. The back knee, it could lift again. Doesn't have to. If you did lift it though, you can bring it back down. Relax a second. Stay here just a little longer. That left hand and maybe that block is going to move kind of to the inside of that foot again, but in front. So if you had it on the inside of that foot before, just have it maybe one block width further. Hug your knee towards your shoulder. How are your hips? One last chance to lift that back knee. And then bring it down. And now take your hands and bring them back just to either side of your front foot. And we're going to send our hips back. Okay, give your hips a nice big break. If you want to keep holding your blocks, you can. Or you can move them to the side, but lengthen the front leg, the left one. Forget about your hips. And maybe point your left toes down. Push the ball of the foot into the ground. And then maybe point your toes up. And try to forget about your hips again. Feel your hamstring. Awesome, you guys. You can start to bend back into your front knee, back into your lunge just for a second. You might lift the back knee, but take an inhale to look forwards. And exhale, bring your back foot to the top of your mat. As you inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, fold forwards. Inhale, come all the way up to standing. Reach up. Exhale, lower your arms. Inhale as you reach up again. Exhale, fold forwards. Inhale into a half lift. Exhale, fold, plant your hands, take both feet back into downward facing dog. Push into your hands. Stay for an inhale. As you exhale, let your knees come down, tabletop, reaching forwards from the fingertips or flat on the palms. Reach forwards, take the bend out of your elbows as best you can and start to lower your chest. You might look forwards, you might look down. If you're on your fingertips, keep your elbows lifted. Slowly lower. And then just using an inhale to come back up. Hands under the shoulders, flat against the ground. Tuck your toes. Lift your knees, downward facing dog. Nice deep breath in and deep breath out. And then use an inhale to look forwards again. As you exhale, walk to the top of your mat. With an inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up to standing. Reach up. Exhale, lower your arms. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hold forwards. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Planting the hands. And our left foot is gonna come back. Knee can come down. You can grab your blocks. One hand on either side of the foot. Just a nice lunge where our foot stays in the middle of the mat. Your knee might be down the whole time, might be up the whole time, and you might lift it and lower it with me. So if you want to lift the knee for a moment, go for it. Then you could bring it back down. The right hand can move with the block to the inside of your foot. So it's just a little shift of the upper body to the side. Hugging your knee in towards your right arm. So legs, don't let them move as much as they want to move. Chance to maybe tuck your back toes, lift your knee again. Putting that knee in towards your arm. Bringing the knee down. And then moving your right hand and block back to the outside of the foot. So one hand on either side. Sinking into the hips. Maybe you're lifting your back knee up again. Squeeze that leg. And then you can lower your back knee. And maybe, again, this is a little nicer if you've got something to lift the ground up to the hands. Moving them forwards a bit so there's a bit of a reach. But you still can hold something. And maybe you're going to pick your back knee up again. Waking up those legs. And then lowering your knee. And maybe taking the right hand and block to the left side a bit. Knee and shoulder trying to stay together. So when that right knee wants to tip out to the side, squeeze it back in. And maybe you're picking your back knee up again. Feel your legs. I do as well. Bring your knee down. Move your hands back to either side of your foot. And then send your hips back. You're half split. Letting the hips go or rest. And find the length through that right leg. Maybe pushing the toes down. And maybe pointing the toes up. Nice job, you guys. Slowly, let an inhale bring you back into your lunge. Bend your knee. Maybe lift the back knee up too. Inhale to look forwards though, and then exhale, bring your back foot to the top of your mat. Inhale into a half lift. Exhale, folds. Inhale, come all the way up to standing. Reach up. Exhale, let your arms fall to your sides. Maybe a shoulder roll, but we're going to stay standing. I am going to bring my feet wider. I'm going to go a little bit wider than hip width apart this time, just to change up my distance. We're staying standing this time too, and we're simply just kind of moving a little bit, maybe side to side, maybe forwards and back, maybe a little lift of the toes, a little lift of the heels. Just feel your feet on the ground and try to shift the weight about. And maybe you try to lift those heels nice and high, pushing into those toes, feeling the ankles, bringing them down. Maybe lift your toes, maybe a little sway, side to side too. Flatten the feet, slow down the sway, take a shoulder roll. And then use an inhale to reach up. And as you exhale, fold forwards. Inhale into a half lift. Exhale, fold, plant your hands and take your feet back into down dog, both of them. Push into your hands. So you try to drop your heels, maybe try to lift your toes for a moment. Push into the balls of the feet, try to float the toes. Maybe they don't want to lift. Take another inhale. As you exhale, come down into tabletop. Lower your knees slowly, slowly down. Maybe add a sway of the hips, the shoulders, but we're going to scooch the knees together. We're going to tuck our toes under. If you have something to hold on to, you might want them just in front of you. You might not use them, but you might. Sending the hips back towards the heels for our lovely toe squat. Now you can keep your hands on the ground or on your blocks. You can sit back, you can lift up, enjoy your toe squat. You can also try keeping the hands down, pushing into the ground or into those blocks and lifting your knees. Now, if you're going to do that, lift the knees and try to drop your heels to the ground. A little less toe, a little more ankle. Maybe you got to move your things. Maybe you're holding the ground. Maybe you're not have to hold anything. Try to drop the heels. Stretch the ankles. Maybe you stay here. Maybe now you try to lift your heels higher and higher and higher. Knees, let them lift too. Try to balance on the balls of your feet, your toes. Maybe you grow a little taller through your spine. You have to lift your hands off the ground. You're balancing. You're breathing, and then it's over. You can bring your hands down and your knees too. And you can come out of your toe squat, whatever kind of toe squat you are in. Come back into tabletop for a second. Maybe give the toes a little tap against the ground. A sway of the hips if you want. But then we're going to sit down. We're going to sit down with our legs in front of us. You can take your moment, though, once you're seated, to just hug your knees. Sway a little bit. Let go of all that we've done so far. You're hugging your knees right now and your hands are in front of you. You might just hold your left hand with your right one, just by the wrist joint. See if you can open up that wrist joint a little bit with a little pull on your hand. And then you can switch sides. Left hand could hold the right one. And just a little pull on the hand. Try to open up that wrist gently. And then you can start to let that go. We're going to be sending our right leg long. And our left leg will stay bent. So you can leave the foot on the inside of the leg, or you can move it to the outside, cross the legs. Hold your knee, hug your knee. Lengthen your spine and point your right toes up. Take an inhale. As you exhale, twist towards the left side. Hug your knee and maybe take your left hand to the ground behind you and push into the fingertip. Twist. You are twisting. Let an inhale turn you back to face forwards. Now I want you just to leave your legs where they are. So if the legs are crossed, leave them crossed. So to lean back a little bit though. Fingers can point away from you, just a little lean back. You're gonna have to put a little bit of effort or thought into keeping that left foot on the ground if your legs are crossed. Now a little lean back, a little lift of the chest, a little lift of the chin. Then keep leaning back and uncross your legs or send your left leg just long and start to bend the right leg. Maybe the foot comes to the inside of the leg. Maybe it's going to be crossing over top. And then lean forwards and hug your knee again. Sit tall, point your left toes up. Lengthen your spine and inhale. And then exhale to twist to the right side. And maybe pushing your fingertips into the ground. Hugging your knee. But breathe. Now let's use an inhale to turn back to face forwards. Keep your legs as they are. A little lean back. A little press of that right foot into the ground. Maybe a little lift of the chest, a little lift of the chin. Can you point your left toes up too? And keep leaning back, a little lift of the chest and the chin. Maybe you can send your right leg out long. Maybe you can give the legs just a little bit of a wiggle, but still maybe lifting the chest and the chin. And maybe we can bend the knees, plant the feet next to one another. Give the knees a little squeeze together. Maybe you're still lifting your chest and your chin. And then as you relax, can you lean forwards and give the knees a hug? And take a rock side to side, and maybe your right hand will hold your left, and you'll just open up the wrist joint again. A little bit of a pull of the hand. And then switching sides, left hand can hold the right. And then you can let that go. We are going to be laying down on our backs. So you can lower yourself down. Let's keep our feet on the ground, but bring them wider. Knees wide, feet wide. Start to sway your knees side to side. Be a small movement or bigger but slow. Just go slow. You are swaying the knees. Slow it down. So right now our feet are a bit wide, our knees too. Our heels are on the ground. We just try to lift your toes for a second. Lift your toes. Maybe even try to lift the balls of the feet. Just be on your heels for a second. If you do that, bring your feet back down and then just try to float your heels. Float the heels. And then you can drop them down. And we're just going to bring our arms to our sides a little bit better. Maybe palms facing down. You can keep your hand or your hips on the ground, or you can lift them up. If you're lifting them up, keep your arms beside you. Walk your fingers towards your feet a little bit. Find your bridge pose where your feet are wide, your knees are wide, and your toes might even be pointing out to the sides just a touch. Now you can hold the hips up and try to lift the toes. Maybe lift the balls of the feet. Squeeze the glutes. Bring the feet down. Maybe, do the heels want to lift? Maybe one at a time, maybe both for a second. Switch sides if you're doing one. Squeeze your glutes more. And then bring your heels down. Feet are flat. Hips are lowering all the way back to the ground. Press your low back down. Relax your arms. You can move them if you want or keep them, but relax them. And then let your knees go for that slow sway, side to side. So our feet are wide, our knees are wide. You can slow down your sway. You to press your low back into the ground again. We're going to keep our knees wide and our feet wide, but you can lift the feet and hold the knees, but just keep them wide. Let your ankles relax. You might be hugging the knees in a little bit, but mostly let the knees go wide and the feet. And just a gentle press of the low back down. If it does feel good to sway a little bit here, you could sway. Maybe your hands are lightly resting on the knees or somewhere else, but just keep the feet wide, the knees wide. Let your hips open up. You did decide to lift the feet. We are going to bring them back down. You can bring the knees together first if you prefer, and then the feet can find the ground. So bring your feet a little closer together, your knees a little closer together, but your feet to the ground for sure. But you can sway still the knees side to side if you'd like. So we're gonna be moving our arms and reaching them above the head. So you could, there's a few options. You could bring your hands behind your head. You could straighten your arms and reach them a little bit more. Maybe your hands hold one another, but the arms could be a bit straighter. Ideally, our hands are on the ground. Now, our legs, we're gonna let them tip over towards the left. So a little bit of a twist, but it's different because our arms are above the head instead of out wide. Or maybe your hands are behind your head. Let the knees tip to the side. And then maybe let the feet go out further. So find some length through the legs. Your shoulders might be moving a little bit, but do your best just to keep them flat, level. Take some effort to keep the arms above the head. Can't relax too much. Or banana cut in half. Now, if you did bring the feet out a little further, you might start to bring them back in so you get to a point where you can lift your knees and maybe your arms can just stay where they are. Just reset. If you need to adjust your arms, you can adjust your arms. Again, trying to keep them, the hands on the ground, whether you're reaching a little more or you have them tucked under your head. And then let your knees tip over to the right. No arms to help you. And maybe slide the feet out a little further. You've got room. And then just do your best to try to keep the shoulders down. It's again, not the most relaxing twist. Some more effort required. Just check that you're still breathing. And then you can start to bring the feet back in, the knees back up. Just leave your arms where they are. If you're reaching above the head, reach a little more. How straight can you get the arms to be? Maybe your head's getting a little bit of a hug. As you start to relax your arms, bring them all the way back to your side. Maybe your hands to your belly, palms facing down. You can send your legs long, but bring your feet together, your legs together. Point your toes. Try to touch your toes to the ground. They're probably not going to. So legs together, feet together. You can relax your ankles and move your feet wide, maybe mat width apart. And then point the toes again. Try to touch the toes to the ground. Feel the ankle, the feet. You can start to relax your ankles again. Just let the feet be where they want to be. Maybe the toes are kind of tipping out to the sides a little bit as you let your ankles relax. Maybe your hands are still resting on your belly. Feel your belly move. Feel the ground beneath you. And if your hands are next to one another on your belly, interlace your fingers. Interlace your fingers and then maybe feel a little bit of a pull of your fingers, of your hands. Maybe keep your hands on your belly or lift them up a little bit. Your elbows can lift, interlacing the fingers and then just trying to pull them apart. Just feel some length through the fingers, hands, maybe into the forearms. And then let your fingers slide apart slowly. Resist, but allow. Once your fingers are no longer interlaced, place your hands on the ground. Maybe palms facing up. And start to relax completely. Shavasana. Just you and your breath. You can slowly wiggle your finger or toe. Right, bring your hands to your belly again and interlace your fingers and just feel that little pull. That might turn into a nice big stretch, arms reaching above your head, pointing your toes. And you can start to bend your knees and roll over. Finding your way up to a comfortable seat. Bring your hands together. Awesome practice, you guys. Thanks for joining us today. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you guys soon. Namaste.